Another interesting question I just got from Wisdom. How do I find happiness after someone I love has passed away? I've dealt with this plenty of times. I'm going to tell you some stories. When I was in 2016, I'm in a studio, I'm recording some music, and my cousin called me. He said my grandfather had a seizure, which he didn't have a seizure, it was something else. And I told him he's gonna be all right. The ambulance is gonna be on his way out there, so he'll be okay. Granddaddy bounced back. So I get another call, and my granddad, my cousin is kind of have a soft voice. He said, "Yo, granddad, he ain't been without a heartbeat for X amount of minutes." So I put my phone down and I get ready to leave the studio. I look at my partner and I looked at him and I said, "Man, I love you, bro." So I leave the studio, I'm driving. Another cousin of mine had called me. I said, "Bro, I need you to tell me, is what I'm thinking true right now?" In a faint voice, he said, "Yes." Called my mother, talked to her. She said, "You don't need to be driving feeling like this." I told my mom I was okay. 2016. As I'm driving, I finally make it to the house. I grabbed my first cousin and I just hugged him and held him tight. Everybody went into the room to see him, and he's on the floor laying lifeless, and I never went to go see him. I never saw him. And people was like, "Go ahead, it'll help you feel better if you go see him." And I said, "No, it's not gonna help me feel better." And they took him. They tried to resuscitate him, couldn't. They took him. People came, put him in a body bag, and they took him off. And I did not grieve his death properly. I didn't cry. I didn't. In a way, I held it in. I don't know if I was numb to it or whatever. I didn't allow the process to go through. But the grieving came out in different ways. It came out in anxieties, where I had to take pills for anxiety because I started being a hypochondriac, because I thought whatever he died was going to get me. The way you grieve is going to come out in different ways if you don't grieve right. Fast forward last year, 2022, which technically the new year is not till March, but we come on, let's say, 2022, December 14th, on my dad's born day, December 14th, my mama called me in a faint voice, "Your cousin is dead." My knees buckled. I was gonna fall, but I picked myself up and I was okay. I knew that if I could have pressed on, that I didn't have to cry, but I made myself cry because whatever I had in me needed to come out. So I made myself do it. And the reason why I made myself do it, because I didn't want to carry that I had to let it go, because it's things that you carry through your life that'll weigh you down. And this was my cousin, man. I loved her, man. I love her to death, but crying is letting go. So I had to let her go. I say that to say this: how can you find happiness is not suppressing how you feel. Don't suppress how you feel on the inside. Suppression leads to depression. Cry and let it out. Let the tears roll. Also, in this situation, realize that there's people that are alive that you might be taking for granted. You need to spend time with those. Your heart is broken, but now it's time for you to give those pieces to the one that need it. Holding in your tears, you're not taking it well. Don't think for a second that you are. The reason why I say that is because let's look at two examples, right? One example would be, you will see somebody's crying real hard at a funeral, right? And you will see somebody with a dry face. Who you think is taking it the hardest? The person that's taking it the hardest is the one that's holding back his tears, because he's suppressing. The one that's taking it good is the one that's crying. He's depressing. He's letting the tears out. He's letting everything out. So that's the person that's doing well. But the world seems to believe the person that's crying harder, that's the person that's taking it hard. And the person that's not crying, that's the person that's taking it well. It's the exact opposite. So the way you find happiness is simply, and cutting it short, simply put, find love again, cry, let it go, and there's people alive that you love. Pour that love into the people that you have that is alive. Give them the love, pour into them, and continue loving them. And realize that death is not the end, it's only transition. You're transitioning into the next state. No different than an air can that's gonna separate your corporeal being and your incorporeal being is separating. In the meantime, realizing that these people are still with you, and pour that love and give the pieces of your broken heart to those that need. That's what happened at funerals. That's why broken heart bring people together, because the pieces of your broken heart is going to go to the people that have broken hearts as well. Love the people that's alive, and love the things that you do. Pour into your hobbies, pour into yourself. There is happiness after you lose a loved one. I'm pretty sure there's things that's still funny, there's things still you can laugh at, there's still things that you can prosper on. Realize this. Continue to embrace greatness and walk in positivity. Let the light in you shine so bright to illuminate for others to see in themselves. Always go within so you don't go without. For those who need it, I hope you can read it.